8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Got me up the coast, boy. Wanna hear the ocean roar crash over me. Then ride it home, dance it up in moonlight. Hold me tight and don't let go. Watch over me. We are all stardust, stardust, stardust. Left behind, left to find one another, face the sun, fear no one, 'cause we are all one, we are all one, we are all, we are all one, we are all one, we are all. Pick me up, yeah, moonchild, put me into overflow. Superstar.
Hey everybody, how is it going today? Hope everybody is doing well on this cold January day. Hey Trina, nice to see you. Yes, thanks for putting that out there. Michael Vaughn was abducted from Fruitland, Idaho on July 27th, 2021. Help us bring Monkey home. Fruitland Police Department Facebook page for facts. Hey, Nene. Tired of winter, me too. Today's wiener is Lip Lock. I don't know if she's been the wiener here before. So congratulations to her. That is quite the accomplishment. So I was trying to decide if I was going to go live now or later, but my boss told me, I had to. You know who my boss is. We don't have to, that goes without saying. He is everybody's boss around here. He is our leader. And his name is Justin. Hey, country girl. It's the wiener. The wiener. Like hot dog wiener. Like trouser pants wiener. Trouser snake. Trouser snake. Oh my God. I'm so stupid. Sorry. I said trouser pants or whatever. Trouser snake. Yeah, Justin better be here because, hey, JC. See, that's what I have a couple readings I have to do today, and I was trying to decide if I should do them now or after this. So, well, here I am. So those couple of people, I haven't forgot about you. And I did see, actually, is Giselle in here? Hey, Blue Willow. Hey, Hawk, We Scottish, Luminous. Sorry, guys. I had to respond to this person who was wanted to pay for a reading. So business is booming in the tarot world. Everything I've had that's been successful, like, it's always been like unexpected. Like I didn't really try. Like with this channel, I think that's where people mess up. Like, I noticed like the ones that really try desperately to have a following on YouTube, like usually aren't successful. And I don't know why. Probably because people could tell they're not genuine or something. I don't know. Hey, Purple. Chili beans. Well, thank you, Luminous. Hey, Barb. You do too, Luminous. Good karma. That's how I look at it, ICU. I think a lot of us are ready for some good karma after the year we had last year. Right? Am I right or am I right? Or am I right? Poor Athena has a spade appointment next month. So I'm kind of nervous for that. Just found that out today. Not, I saw the Deception Detective put something out recently on, I haven't watched. Oh, he's doing something on Chris Watts. Did you guys also watch one he put out a couple days ago? It says Gone. Here, let's listen to the beginning of it and see what he says at his little preview he does. This is the Deception Detective. The mods could put his link in the chat. I'll do so here in a second too.
Normally, I would never comment on this. I would never comment on body language, facial expression. The one exception I make is Duper's Delight, and only when it's extremely overt. And here we have Dr. Phil saying he believes they didn't kill their daughter. Summer's been missing for 4 months. Dr. Phil says he believes they didn't kill her, didn't bury her. He believes their timeline, everything. And Don is laughing. I can't help but commentate on it. The things in this case are things we don't see in almost any of my other series. This is highly unusual, and it's causing me to comment on things I haven't commented on since Casey Anthony and O.J. Simpson. What are the 4 signs of a hoax? I'm Deception Detective. I'm an attorney trained in statement analysis, and this channel exists to expose lies and manipulation.
Well, we remember
please
this.
hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell.
Famous
In today's video, we're going
appearance.
to analyze Dr. Phil's interview.
Infamous,
with
I think we should
Don
say.
And Candace Wells.
Paid off.
This is the 6th video in my Summer Wells series.
I agree.
And in this video, we're going to analyze their interview
I agree,
along
Willow.
the 4 criteria I have of spotting a hoax.
Did you, Black Cat?
And you can find this in my
We might not
hoax
watch it all.
playlist,
I'm
as
just
well
going
as
to
in
check
my
it out a
Deception
little bit.
Deck, which you can order at deceptiondeck.com. We're basically going to go through the 4 criteria as
Deceptiondeck.com
we
for
see them
anybody who
pop
wants
up
to check it out.
in this interview. Without further ado, let's listen.
Dude, he's pretty
Wish we were talking about
intelligent
just want our baby home.
in his craft.
Well, first, let me say I'm glad to meet you both, but very
Thank
sorry
you.
for the occasion. I wish we were talking about 1,000 other things than your
Oh
missing
yeah,
daughter
guys!
Summer.
Before we move on to this serious, before we move on to this serious nature of this video with Summer missing and stuff, I have something much lighter. Today is a very special ladies' young lady's birthday. Let me show you. I have a picture here. I want you guys to see. It's so cute. I was supposed to be more prepared than this. How old is she today, Jam? How old is Miss Sophia today? Miss Sophie. Let me see here. Aw, she's a sweetie. So, happy birthday to Miss Sophia. 5 years old? Oh my gosh. She's such a big girl. This is Jam's granddaughter. Everybody wish her happy birthday. Happy birthday, Sophia. Jam says that she thinks that I'm a superstar or something. So she thinks this little girl thinks because Jam listens to me all the time, you know, and always has me on. And little Sophia thinks that I'm famous. So I guess it would make her day to tell her happy birthday here at the Ziggy show. I'm sorry, my dog is making really gross chewing noises because he's chewing on my string that's on my shirt. Thank you all. We're all around the TV. She feels famous. Oh my gosh, she's so famous now. Ziggy is a superstar. Sophia is a superstar. Oh, I need my shoot. I need to find my dang it. Too bad I don't have that handy. Who knows where that is right now? My soundboard thing. Dang it. On it I have a cute little happy birthday song that has Michelle D's granddaughter singing happy birthday to me. It was so cute. Thought I could play it for Miss Sophia, but I don't know where I put my. Absolutely adorable. Oh, if you think that's adorable, you should see her baby pictures. But I don't have them handy. Maybe I'll show them later. Holy crap. She looked like a baby doll. Okay. Happy birthday, Sophia. I hope it was a good one. I know it's cold. Better get used to it. Your birthday's in January. You're going to have a lot of cold birthdays. All right. Sing to her. Oh, God. Happy birthday to you. No, I'm not, guys. Seriously. It doesn't mean anything if I'm told to do it. I have to do it impromptu, like surprise. Keep going, says Swin. Cha-cha-cha. Cha-cha-cha. All right, here we go.
Since you've last talked to Scott and Greg, have you learned anything at all? Anything new happened? Anything from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation? Anything that we don't know?
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
All right, so
He looks so
one of the
nervous.
things we do on my videos and in deception detection is we look at the expected versus the unexpected. So Don and Candace Wells are ostensibly parents of a missing little girl. They have the opportunity to go onto the Dr. Phil show to bring more attention to their daughter. So you would expect them, right, the average typical parent of a missing child we would expect them to.
Does he have an email here? Because I know he was wanting me. See, the problem is he was wanting me to send him some stuff, but the thing is, like, all he uses, he won't, which I think is a great idea for him to do that. Everything he does is transparent and out in the open in front of everybody, which is really good. So there's never any, like, oh, you took advantage of me and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, he does everything in the open, and so on Twitter he wants me to tag him in these or something, and or some of the videos I can't, like, some of the stuff I have is files and I don't know how to send it to him over Twitter. The weather outside is frightful. There's a little jingle for you.
Be talking about everything they know, putting out any leads they're aware of, talking about anything that happened that day, maybe appealing to any kidnappers or talking directly to Summer through the TV, or even just describing her or explaining little details that if someone, one of the millions of people that's watching this, might trigger something in their head and they might come forward with a lead. So one thing we do not expect is reticence, where someone is unwilling to talk about the topic that they've been brought onto the TV show. And that is one of our signs of a hoax. So
I want Heart to Touch says, hey Ziggy, I was watching one of your lives in replay. If you have a PO box or something, I have microchips if you can put it in. You can put a microchip in yourself? Or what do? Give it to the vet to put in? Well, thank you, Swin. She is a lovely little girl. Hey, Jude. And yes, happy birthday, Sophia. I want Heart to Touch. I don't have a PO box. I did at first when my channel was like really busy. But after, I would go like months without really getting anything, so I closed it. But can you email me? How do you can do it yourself? Oh, I will definitely, if you can email me, I'll send you my address. Like, that would be awesome. Because I do worry about something happening. I would love to microchip both of them. Thank you so much. All right. Who needs hot chocolate? Me.
Number 2 here is reticence. So on the deception deck, I've got all 4 there. Number 2 is reticence. And reticence is basically, if you're listening to someone's story, you ask yourself, are they reluctant to present their evidence? Are they reluctant to talk about the thing that they're there to talk about? And we saw this with Bob Lazar when he was on Joe Rogan's podcast to talk about UFOs. It was like pulling teeth for Joe to get him to actually talk about any UFOs. That's a sign of a hoax, right? If you actually worked with UFOs, I'd expect you to talk about it in great detail right away.
Mm-hmm.
And just to bring it to a more obvious, basic example, consider if you saw a really hideous dog, right? Like a dog that was so ugly, its tongue was sticking out, its eyes were bulging while you were walking in the park. When you get home to tell your friends about it, right, or your family about it, would you be reticent? It's like, well, I saw a dog. What did it look like? Well, I can't really describe it. It was just a really weird dog, but I can't go into any detail.
Yeah, he has a good point here. And I'm so sorry to say this, because I know he's been hanging out here recently, but that's kind of how I think Andy Bernard is. Oh, I don't know what I was driving that day. Dude, come on. But and it's Don Wells, definitely. Definitely. Oh, I don't remember. No, you're going to remember. Yeah, that's a great point by him. If you saw a dog with, and a really ugly dog, had a tongue that hung out, its eyes bulging, scrawny, just hideous. So hideous it's cute, and different. You're going to remember that because it's different. It doesn't happen all the time. Hey, Linda.
Right? Would you tease it like them? You reticent, or would you say, "Look, I saw this dog. The tongue was hanging out, and a weird snout. It was looking at me, making a really funny growling noise." Right? You'd be very detailed and very forward and candid with your info. So why do I say all that? Listen to Dr. Phil's question, and then listen to Don's response.
1,000 other things than your missing daughter, Summer. Since you've last talked to Scott and Greg, have you learned anything at all? Anything new happened? Anything from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation? Anything that we don't know?
All right. So have you learned anything about the investigation? I would expect the parent of a missing child to say there was a red car, or police found her shoelace, or police have questioned this person or that person, right? Any little detail that they could put out there to help them find their daughter. But listen to how Don responds.
No.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
That's it. Nothing at all. That is not what I would expect from the parent of a missing child to do.
He looks like
It
he's
is what I
about
would
to
ex-
shit himself, dude. Now, I would be like that too, just like being on Dr. Phil. That would be nerve-wracking, but I get that. But he just looks so scared to be found out right now. I know. Look at Candace looks. Yeah. Candace does look upset, but not, she's still not acting like you would think a mother would. Oh, I know. It is what it is. My address is already, but it's already out there. Like people, it's so easy to find my address. So it's really not me. It wouldn't take hardly any effort for somebody to find my address. Now, thanks to Benny and 6 Up,
Expect of a hoaxer. Now, does the fact that Don says nothing at all mean he's a hoaxer?
No.
It mean he's lying? No, of course not. Right? We need multiple signs of deception before we conclude that someone's being deceptive. And even then, my analysis here is just my opinion.
First off, tell me about Summer. Candace, you're her mom. Tell me about Summer. What's
Candace,
she
you're her
like?
mom.
How did she spend her time mostly?
Look at her.
Playing with the toys.
Yeah. Did she like to play inside, outside?
She likes to be outside most of the time.
Yeah. You have the 3 boys.
So once again, it's up to Dr. Phil to prompt them for any small piece of detail about Summer, about the case. This reminds me a lot of the other hoaxers we looked at on the channel, and I have an entire playlist about hoaxers. Right, with Bob Lazar, it was like pulling teeth to get him to talk about UFOs. Like Bob Gimlin, it was like pulling teeth to get him to talk about allegedly seeing Bigfoot. Right, he was happy to go into great detail about how he was camping with his friend and how they were looking for Bigfoot, but when they encountered Bigfoot, became very reticent, right? All he did, he used 6 words to describe Bigfoot and then moved on. And all he said was, there one was, right? So extreme reticence is one sign of a hoax.
Reticent.
Are they reluctant to present their evidence?
Reticent.
How do you take 20,000 children in the middle of New York City without anybody seeing?
Yes.
They are being put into buses.
So reticent means not revealing one's thoughts or feelings readily. In a sentence, she was extremely reticent about her personal affairs, being reserved, withdrawn. So secretive, silent, reserved is what he means by reticent. Aw, love you guys too, Linda. Hey, Terry. I got your email. About the lie detector thing, about no opinion. I'm going to have to look into that some more. See, I don't understand if no opinion means inconclusive. Why don't they just say inconclusive? You know what I mean? So that's why I could have sworn no opinion, and I'm going to look into that some more. But anyways, right? My time at the hospital was like, I mean, I remember everything. Candace looks like she is scared to death, sick to her stomach, and I think her mouth hurts. I think her answers are weird, and I think she is involved. Her mouth might hurt because she did get her teeth done. That's right.
Boys, and then Summer, she was the youngest.
Yeah.
And how'd she get along with the boys?
She was boss of the boys.
She ran the ran the boys. Yeah.
Also, notice how she says Summer was the boss of the boys, right? So that everyone knows, right? It's almost a meme of deception detection and statement analysis that if someone talks about their kid in the past tense, it means they know their kid's dead. And this became famous because of the Susan Smith case in the 90s, where she talked about her sons in the past tense, even though she was saying they'd been kidnapped. She said a guy came, carjacked her while her kids were in the back seat, and drove off. But when she talked to the press about her kids, she said, they wanted me, they needed me. So she was talking about them in the past tense, which was a sign that she knew they were dead. And lo and behold, she had murdered them. She locked them in the car and then let the car roll into a body of water and drowned them.
You guys remember Susan Smith? Craziness. Hey, Robin. They are selling not what you are selling. You're that would be like me asking Cal for her address. Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm sorry, Stephanie. I can't believe my youngest doesn't it. Coconut? I'm not that big a fan. Unless it's So Linda says, Ziggy, you were right on target a few days ago with the reading you gave me about my sister. I'm going to try to email you. I have your email. Oh, cool. I'd love to hear. One of the first cases you followed? We'll have to revisit that case because I do remember the basics of it, or like the gist of what the main, her somehow putting that, which is absolutely horrible. Like, I don't know how you could freak. I mean, can you guys imagine? Can you guys freaking imagine? I mean, that's like the worst. Drowning. Like, that's horrible. That is horrible. A horrible way to die. Thank you, I Want Heart. My daughters both passed away, one 41 years ago and the other 14 years ago. I remember everything more than nightmare doesn't go away. Oh, I'm sorry, Sue. Oh, are you in Australia, Terry? Terry, was that you that emailed me? Or was that a different Terry? Candace killed her daughter. Somewhere. I remember this. Susan Smith drowned her little boy. Is that, yeah. No, I don't. I'm not saying this that Candace. I don't think Candace unalived her daughter. No, I don't think that at all. But I think she knows what Dawn did with her. Or whatever they did with her. Oh, it wasn't you, Terry? Okay, well, to the other Terry, whoever sent me that email.
So I always flag it when a parent talks about their kid in the past tense that they may know that the kid is dead. Does this mean 100% of the time that they know they're dead? No. However, it is unusual of the parents of a missing child to speak about them in the past tense, because parents of missing children always, not always, but 99% of the time.
It is very unusual. I still talk about Jim in the present. Like, I know he's gone, but it's taken me forever to talk about him in the past tense. Like, I don't understand how they can, I don't know. It's just not natural. I mean, does anybody else like have any experience with that? Like having a child pass or a partner pass and, you know, talking about them as if they're still here. Like, I'll say Jim has a big heart, you know, stuff like that. Or sometimes I do talk about him in the past, but it's taken me a long time. It's just a habit. You think they rent her out, and that's very it's possible. He's so on point with the Wells. Yep. You know exactly what I mean. I lost my son last Christmas, and yes, sometimes I do. I still talk about Benjamin all the time, and I always talk about him like he is. We do it with my father-in-law. Can't even talk about your dog in past tense. I do talk in present about my son, says Cotton Candy. Honey Elder. See, look at all these people saying they talk. I still talk to my deceased fiance in my mind. Granny's house. Hey, yeah. And it's not that I'm like, it's just natural. Like, that's the thing he studies, like human behavior. This is his expertise. And we just proved him right now. Well, in my opinion, proved him right because we all still talk about even our loved ones who are gone in the present. Because, I mean, when they are more recently passed, like if it's only been a few years, like Jim's only been gone a little over a year, and it feels like way less. Way. I mean, so I can imagine some of you saying you had somebody pass in 2019, I think one of you said. And still it feels like yesterday. And so that's why it makes it difficult. I don't know. It's just not natural. no other way to say it, I guess.
Tend to hold out that hope that their kid is still out there alive and is going to be found. Otherwise, what's the point of going on to Dr. Phil? If
It
you
was
don't
both-
believe your kid's still out there to be found, there's no point in raising awareness about it. So the fact that she speaks about somewhere in the past tense, right? She
Right.
was the boss of the boys, is something
Yours
to
was-
note.
Yeah.
But like everything, it's not a smoking gun.
She was the youngest.
Yeah.
And how'd she get along with the boys?
She was boss of the boys.
She ran the ran the boys. Yeah, yeah. I kind of in watching her run around. She sure had a lot of energy. Was she one that would wander off, chase a butterfly, do something where she would look up and realize she was further away than she thought she might be?
No.
She stuck close to.
So once again, more one-word answers, more reticence, right? No, nothing useful, right? Like she liked to play outside. We've heard in other interviews them talk about her playing outside, how she liked to run around. Why not bring that up? Why not mention that? We've also heard them talk about how there are bears and snakes on the property and potentially coyotes. Why not bring that up as well, right? Why not put every possible lead out there and make the most of your appearance on Dr. Phil? So the reticence here is not expected. These one-word answers are what you would expect from someone being questioned by the police, right? Someone trying not to give anything away. So even if they're ashamed or embarrassed, let's say that Summer
Who's
walked
that,
out because they were
Nene?
negligent parents. At this point, I would still
Deception
expect them to
Detective?
be open as possible if they really want to.
Yeah, I got lucky there, and he somehow, well, because early on, and I mean, I've talked to a lot of people surrounding. I've talked to the parents. I've talked to the tree trimmers. I've talked to Fred Hill. I talked to Grandis. I've talked to the billboard people. I've talked to what's his name? Haskell Rhines. I could go on and on. So early on, I had a lot of videos up that people review, and he happened to review. It was actually Colette, I think, was her name. Colette. I think it's called. I forget what her Colette is in her channel name though. Collette. And he was reviewing it, and it was like a review of a review because she was going over something in my live. And so that's how he got aware of who I was. And that was his first video. So yeah, so somebody let me know, and then the rest is history.
To find their daughter. They know she's out there. So this reticence is the first of our four
Okay,
signs of a
there you
hoax,
go.
and we're seeing a lot of it here at the front end of the interview.
She was
Right.
so close to the house.
Was she a daddy's girl or a mama's girl?
She was a daddy's girl.
Daddy's girl?
Yeah.
There were some vehicles that were seen around the property that day. A red truck, for example, was seen nearby. Did that person ever come forward and identify themselves?
Right. So it's up to Dr. Phil to bring up the trucks. Also, normally I don't watch these interviews in advance. I've watched this one once through up until where we're going to pause it today, just to make sure that all four signs of a hoax are in this. So we're going to hit all four signs of a hoax. But once again, more reticence. It's up to Dr. Phil to bring up the cars. Why did the parents not bring that up? Right? If that's new information they've learned, why not bring it up when Dr. Phil mentioned it? You know, by the way, yes, the police did find that there was a truck in the area. It was red. It looked like, a Ford. If anyone knows that truck or if the owner's out there, please come forward.
Themselves?
Never did come forward as far as we know.
Also, they could say, please come forward to eliminate yourself as a suspect. Also, we just want to know if you saw anything that day. Right. So asking the driver to come forward doesn't necessarily have to be a threatening proposition. It could literally be an appeal. Please, you were in the area around the time our daughter went missing. Please come forward to let us know if you saw anything. But they appear to have zero curiosity about what that person saw. Right? So and what does that reflect? It reflects they probably know exactly what happened to Summer. That's why they're not grasping at straws.
Mhm.
They're not appealing to this driver to come forward and say anything he might know, even if he didn't do it. Maybe he saw someone else. Maybe he heard something, right? There's zero curiosity about that. And we tend to see this a lot in other cases where I think the parents of a missing child are hoaxing. For example, the Madeleine McCann case. If you're following my series on that, they rarely, if ever, express any curiosity about what happened to her. Right. So even when they're asking for leads in one interview we analyzed, right, they say, if you have any information, no matter how trivial, please let us know. Right. The implication is that any information is trivial. All that matters is the degree of triviality. Right. Suggests they know what happened. Or the fact that they never questioned their friends who were with them or hotel staff where their kid went missing from. And in the case of Summer Wells, the parents never accuse each other. Why not? Right? If Don was at work when Summer went missing, why does he have zero curiosity about whether his wife did something or his grandmother did something or his sons did something? Even if it was accidental and they covered it up. Right? Zero curiosity about that.
Do y'all
Yeah,
know anybody?
No.
with
He doesn't even ever seem even if you really, really trust the person you're with. And even if you have a really good relationship with that person, you really trust them and know they want to do something to your guys' kid. Still, you would still have that small doubt in your mind where you would, be asking the other person, like, you would go there because your mind would be going everywhere, thinking of every single possibility. Yeah, Don combed his hair for this. Only 42 likes. What? No, I think it's more than that. If everybody can like the live, that would be amazing. All right, let's.
the red
No.
truck?
I don't know.
Statistics tell us that when children are abducted or molested or in any way victimized, it's very seldom by strangers. It's a friend of the family, a family member. It's somebody that has access to the family.
And here, Dr. Phil is correct, which is why whenever I do a missing child case, I start with the parents because statistically they are the most likely.
He does look like he's wearing makeup. I think he is. I think you're right. I think Don does have some powder. And we're not talking the powder, his favorite powder. Actually, he doesn't like the powder. He likes the rock. But you get it. It comes from the powder.
Suspect. Right. So if we're following Occam's razor, the most likely scenario is probably the right one. It's the parents, which is why when I do Madeleine McCann, JonBenet Ramsey, Summer Wells, I start with the parents.
1, 2, 3. Okay, it didn't hurt.
NutriSense.
And briefly, as a side note, if you are a subscriber to my channel, you can vote on the topics I cover, right? So I look at the requests in the comments, and then I take the most requested topics and I put them into periodic community polls. So right now, for example, I have a community poll on my YouTube channel. You can find it if you're a subscriber under the community tab on my channel with
That may have been
Nicole
what she did.
Kessinger.
That's what he's
William-
doing today, I think, from what I can see. But I know many of you guys probably aren't really. And I might cover it, but just on a separate live. I find the Chris Watts case fascinating.
Tyrell, West Memphis 3, and Ben Needham. And once again, William Tyrell is a missing boy in Australia. Ben Needham is a boy who went missing in Greece. So when I analyze these missing children, I'm going to start with the parents. And if I don't see any signs of deception or withholding information in their story, then I'll move on to a wider
They
investigation.
didn't put red lipstick on him. He just has naturally rosy lips, okay? Like Santa Claus.
Right, and analyzing other people's statements. Also, the third largest population of my subscribers are Australians, and thank you to everyone in Australia who subscribes to my channel. I've had so many appeals to look at William Tyrell, just personal comments from people under this poll and all my other videos. The Australians have shown so much passion for this little boy that even though he's trailing in my community poll, I've been moved to do a video about him. So I will do a video about him. And I hope my Australian subscribers and Australians in general turn out for that video. Remember, I base the videos I do on who watches them and if my general audience watches it. So hopefully, if that gets enough views, I can make a series out of it. But from what I know, this is a sad story, and it lines up with lots of other missing children that we cover on the channel, including Summer Wells.
Do you have any idea, any concept of anybody that would have had knowledge of your property, how to get down that road, how to do anything that and I'm not asking you to name somebody here, but is there anybody that comes to mind?
Once again, Dr. Phil is asking them a very broad question. Is there anyone, anywhere, anytime who knows anything about your property? What would the parent of a missing child say? What do you expect someone to say? What if your kid was missing or even your dog was missing? What would you say? Well, for example, if it were me, I would say I've got a mailman that comes to my property. There's a UPS guy who comes to my property and delivers packages. There were people working across the street on an electrical pole, right? Which I think is actually the case. There was actually government workers working around the property. Right, then I would say I've got friends who visit, family who visit. I would be bringing up every possible lead. But what do you, if they are hoaxing, what do you expect they say, right? So start thinking like me now. I'll give you all four signs of a hoax right now, right? Just so we're not hiding the ball. So conclusiveness, reticence,
I would expect him to say
emotionality,
no.
Where there's a difference between
one word
the
or
emotions you see and the emotions they're reporting in their story, right? So if they're crying and they don't report that they were crying at the time, or they don't report any emotions of sadness, it's a sign that they're probably manipulating you. And then vagueness, right? So those are the four. If you've pre-ordered your deception deck, thank you very much. They're going to ship out very soon now. They're at the printer. If you haven't, you can order at deceptiondeck.com. While they're on pre-sale, while they're on pre-order, there is a sale. So you can actually get it for cheaper than when they're actually printed and in hand. Okay, so these are the four. Reticence is the one we're looking at right now. If they are hoaxing, what do you expect them to say? Do you expect them to come forward and talk about everyone who's been to their property? Or do you expect them to give us another one-word answer?
Recordings just got better. Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce that
one-word answer.
And that might have seen Summer or targeted her in some way.
Not that we know of. We've been thinking about that constantly. Constantly. It's just trying to think.
Candace, is there?
No. Another one-word answer. Not that we know of. So no postman, no one you saw, no friends, no nothing. I don't believe it.
He's so, and
right?
Yeah, it isn't believable. As many people as they had on their property, how is he going to say no? All the weirdos that they hang around, all the sex offenders that are on their Facebooks and been to their property, No, Don, like nobody knows your property. You've lived there for quite a while. And then your mother lived there beforehand. And a lot of the people around there have been there for generations, like the families. So you don't think anybody in there around there knows that property? Oh my God, dude. No, I don't think so. No.
And you don't need to be a deception detective to realize that that's an odd response. Not one person comes to mind who is familiar with your property at all.
Is there anybody that made you uncomfortable, just the way they looked at her or were around her?
Nobody that I'm aware of.
I'm sorry?
Nobody that I'm aware of.
Nobody that I'm aware of.
What about the freaking guy that was on the property trying to hug the kids? What about this Andy Paul character you had living on your property who tried to come on to Fred Hill's underage daughter? I mean, nobody I'm aware of. They're saying that because they know where she is.
These are big red flag answers because they are so reticent.
Right.
Reticence.
Dudley
And if you've
or
seen
Fred Hill,
a video
anything?
I did, What Does an Innocent Parent Sound Like? It's in my McCann's playlist. You'll see the difference between the way these parents are talking and parents of actual missing.
I mean, wouldn't they say we had people up on our property all the time? Like, there's a lot of people that knew our property. But no, they have to play it off like, oh, we're just these perfect parents that, walk our daughter to the door 10 feet to make sure she gets there okay, even though you can see her. They have to play themselves off these like perfect parents, and it does not work for them. It does not work. Dawn said Candace didn't like the way Dudley looked this summer. Oh, really? She thinks if she's very, very, very quiet, they won't catch her lying. I bet anything, Dawn told her don't say too much. Because just the way he's controlled the narrative out here, for so long. And before even Candace was able to even really talk or anything, he kept her from speaking online because he wanted to make sure she had the story down pat, Hey, Dot. Does Dr. Phil know Candace said Summer disappeared in 2 minutes? She just vanished. She's vanished like out of thin air. Best part of Dr. Phil was when he told Dawn to be quiet. He did? Hey, Jessica. She was walking to her grandmother's by herself. I watched from the door, but I didn't have to walk her there. She knew the way. Right. That's what most people do. They would watch from, if it's not a dangerous, area or very busy with traffic or something. Oh, full of shit. Yes, I know she does. He told Dawn to let Candace speak for herself. Oh, yeah.
Children. Once you watch that video, the difference is so stark, it's almost impossible to unsee it. And maybe I'll do another comparison video for this series as well, where I look at 2 other parents of actual missing children and compare them to the Wells, just so there's one of those comparison videos in this playlist. So please do let me know in the comments if you want me to do another comparison video with innocent parents. And if you have any innocent parents you think would be a good comparison, drop their names in the comments below as well, please.
I've been involved in a lot of these investigations, and I've got some observations I want to share with you that I feel real strongly about. To make matters worse for Don and Candace, Child Protective Services removed their 3 sons from the house. That might be a bad thing. It might not be a bad thing given some of the hate that's been directed towards them. We'll talk about that when we come back.
It's like he knows the. I want something else to get me through this.
Summer God's Tour 2024 with.
I want to go to that. I'd love to see Third Eye Blind. I want something else to get me through this. Semi charm kind of life. Notice how they got even Dr. Phil going along with the narrative. He started to say, or he did say, exactly what Don tried to say. Well, I told CPS to take the kids. Like, it was too dangerous for the kids to be there. He was on the way out and dropped the ball in this case. Stouch's mom is a perfect example of a real emotion from a mother of a missing child. Wonder why Don and Candace changed places after breakup. They are the driest, not helping parents ever on Dr. Pill. I know. Ew, Jody Sue reminds me of the cop lady that killed the guy's wife and bit her after she was dead. Ew. Yeah, who says that? Was Don drunk in the background on Day Days last night? There was some heavy music going on. Oh, really, Jackie? Remember the little girl from Texas that the FedEx driver took? Yeah. Or how about the other, I think it was Texas also, the woman that, I think it was Texas, I could be wrong. The woman that was pregnant and her best friend, her supposed best friend, like killed her and stole her baby. Trying to remember if she took the baby out of her stomach. I think she did, which is absolutely, I can't even freaking fathom how somebody could do that. What about the man Candace would allegedly pick up from gas stations and bring home, right? Dr. Phil said he didn't know how long they would stay. They barely got the Wells on the stage. I heard Don himself tell, I believe, Jay, that they took the boys because of him. He said someone called him and said they were law enforcement, TBI or FBI, and told him he did something this summer, and he started believe them and pretty much lost his cool, and it was unsafe. Yeah, you're right. Thank you, Giselle. There's Giselle. I was asking for you earlier, Giselle, just to let you know I did get your texts and emails, and I will get to that today. I have one person before you, but Yeah, Dr. Phil was a letdown. I'm sitting here thinking you're muted, and all along I had you guys on pause. That's funny. I've done shit like that.
Authorities say on October 14th, Summer Wells' mom, Candace Bly, told officers Donald Wells came home drunk and saw someone else in the house and believed that Bly was cheating on him. Bly filed an order of protection. She says Wells drinks and
So just here briefly, we already have written proof there was another guy in the house. Why did they not mention this guy as a potential person? So even if they're not bright enough to say, hey, I've got a postman who drops off packages, there are people doing work, there at least was another guy at one point in their house. And I do believe that there were a bunch of people coming in and out of their house a lot, very shady, low-class people. And if you've seen my playlist on the Wells, you'll see me get into a lot of that in these other videos.
Definitely very shady.
However, even if we hadn't done any of these other videos, any of this other analysis of them, we know already here that there was at least one other guy who had been inside their house when Summer was there. Why was he not brought up?
Can't keep your lies
Once again, it just indicates zero curiosity about what actually happened
Hey, Gina,
from the
Ginny,
parents,
I'm sorry.
which should suggest that they know what actually happened.
throws things. And
Also, now that I was listening to this earlier, but now that I'm actually looking at the screen, we can see the writing, so we know that they can at least write, but very poorly. Right, so for example, Candace spells fears incorrectly. My mother fears.
I before E, except after C, Candace.
If you've seen my last Summer Wells video, how to analyze a hostile witness,
after C.
I appealed directly to Don Wells, and I said, I will send you questions, and if you answer those questions in a way that makes me believe that you're innocent, I will stop making videos about you. That was 2 weeks ago. I've heard from multiple people that Don is very frequently on YouTube and social media. I've heard nothing from him. All he'd have to do is leave a comment or submit a contact form on my website, deceptiondeck.com. I've heard nothing from him.
Yeah, he won't go on anybody who he thinks is onto him. He won't even go to on my channel. And I'm not even educated in this stuff. It's weird. The people that he'll go on their panel. I mean, I don't care because there's nothing I have really to even ask him anymore, except he's just going to bullshit. I mean, there's a few questions I'd like to ask him and get his reaction. So JPL says, interesting how everyone involved with the Wells seem to be failures as parents. You are who you are. Yes. Birds of a feather. Oh, thank you, Giselle. Thank you so much. I've been watching his other videos too. He does a good job. Yeah. I agree.
Some people said that I might not hear from them because they are illiterate, but here clearly they can read and write, even if not very well. So I gave him 2 weeks. He hasn't done it, so that's why we're making this video right now.
and that he was mentally and physically abusive.
She's apologized to me. She even talked to the judge and told him that she made a serious mistake.
The domestic assault charges and unlawful possession of a handgun were dismissed.
For Don and Candace, it was bad enough dealing with the stress of their 5-year-old daughter, Summer, disappearing 4 months ago from their rural Tennessee property. But to make matters worse, their sons, 13, 11, and 9 years old, were removed by Child Protective Services.
This is the hardest time of me and Candace's life. You lose your daughter and then you get blamed for it, and then everybody turns on you. We have threatening phone calls daily. They threatened my job. They done everything they could to destroy our family.
Were those paint buckets in the back of his truck? Just curious.
All right, so this interview was done only 4 months after Summer went missing. So already we see a total lack of curiosity about what happened to her. And we're starting to see all
Yay,
4
thank you,
signs
Luminous.
of a hoax, right? From my spotting hoaxes card in the deception deck. So conclusiveness, reticence, emotionality, vagueness. We've already seen some examples of some of those. And now we're going to see examples of the rest. And when I mean a hoax,
Isn't reticence
a
kind of
hoax
the
can
same
just
as
be
vague?
someone presenting false evidence or lying to you with false testimony. Right? So a hoax isn't necessarily.
Wouldn't reticence, now that we've learned and looked it up on the Google, wouldn't that be kind of similar to vague? I could have. Let me see. Just curious. Reticence. Reserved. Inner secrecy. Restraint. Yeah, I feel like they're kind of similar, but he definitely
Like
knows
the big
more about this.
banner hoaxes we looked at on the channel, like aliens, specifically Bob Lazar's story about aliens and UFOs.
Hey, Mimi.
Or Bigfoot, or Me Too hoaxers, right? So people who weren't actually victims pretending to be victims. There's also hoaxes you experience in everyday life. And like we have here, what I believe to be a true crime hoax, where the parents are hoaxing an abduction in order to cover up a crime, whether it was a crime of passion, of negligence, of premeditation, we don't know. At least at this point, we don't.
Family had a stranger come up at 2 a.m. Didn't know what he was doing there. I fired a shot over his head, and they ran down the driveway. I expected bullet holes to be coming through our house, so we had a lot of sleepless nights. It was.
So once again, now we have a mention of another shady person. So even after Summer was missing, someone came to their property allegedly, and Don had to shoot at them. Why was that not mentioned when Dr. Phil asked for new information, new leads? So just notice all the potential things they could have mentioned outside of
I've
the
never
obvious.
seen him wear a hat like that.
Why do they not do that? Why are they not scrambling for leads the way we expected to? Like I've said many times now, I believe it's because they know what actually happened. So they are not curious about what happened. Instead, they're trying to shut down the conversation and wrap up this little investigation. And we've seen this from the McCanns as well. Right? They express zero curiosity about what happened that night or where Madeline might potentially be.
Hey, Mama T.
It was taking a toll on me. At one point, I broke down. I lost it. I started drinking really bad, and I made some poor decisions. Once the Summer was taken, CPS had to open a case for our good and for the boys' protection. So CPS thought our house was dangerous. I was being dangerous. The CPS took our boys, which I was glad at the time. I was glad that they were not here because I was scared to death for their lives.
So 99% of the time, if someone's trying to deceive you or trick you, they'll just tell the truth and they'll leave out vital context or detail. So they'll lie by omission. More advanced liars like psychopaths lie by commission, where they actually just make up something whole cloth. But that requires a certain type of boldness. And then the most sophisticated liars lie by information treatment, where they tell you the exact truth, but they distort it with the words they use. So, for example, if you've seen my Casey Anthony video, that's an example of someone who lies by commission. 99% of the time on my channel, we see people lie by omission. And then if you've seen my video, how to spot sophisticated manipulator, you'll see how Alan Dershowitz lies with information treatment, if he is in fact lying. And Bill Clinton is also a sophisticated liar who lies with information treatment. And a great example is when he said, "I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Monica Lewinsky." that denial was 100% true. He could have passed a polygraph giving that denial. However, it was information treatment because it hinged on his definition of sexual relations. So in his mind, if he did not consider what he did with Monica Lewinsky technically sexual relations, then
He passed.
he told us the truth. He and she did not have sexual relations. But the reality in the real
That's
world,
a good point. That's
the
a really
average
good. That's a very good point with lie detectors. If you believe you're truly that you're telling the truth, then you're going to pass because you're not going to have the reactions that your body would normally have if you're telling a lie. If you know you're telling a lie. But if you don't know you're telling a lie, you know, reading your comments, I would be holding up pictures of my missing child on Dr. Phil, right? Millions of people are going to watch him. I mean,
person would understand that as him saying that they did not have sex, right? Or any form of sex, which was not true. So here when Don Wells says, for example, I was in fear for the boys' lives, I believe him.
thank you, Melissa, for being a member.
And I think it might be because he knows someone on that property either killed Summer or caused her to be killed. And that person might even be himself, right? The context is omitted. And the beauty of the oath that witnesses take is that it covers all three of those types of lies, right? I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Narcissists
So help me God, right? I swear to tell the truth,
believe their own
which
lies.
covers lies of commission. I swear to tell the whole truth, which covers lies of omission, and nothing but the truth, which covers information treatment.
Right.
I
Matthew,
agree
that's-
with my wife.
That's what
didn't,
I
and she-
said as well. That's what I said as well. And I know I know he's been coming around lately and stuff like that, but I can't help but point out the obvious. Like, he just, how do you not remember on a day like that what you were driving? It just doesn't make sense.
He's mad at me, but it was just too dangerous. And now it's 3 months later, and there's no sign of our daughter, and we miss all our kids. We just miss them so much.
Hey, babe, you want to go to a show tonight? Don't worry, it's included.
You want the boys back.
Yes, sir.
And you didn't want them to go to begin with.
Right.
You want them back now.
Yes.
Do you think it's safe for them to come back?
It's a lot safer than it was.
That is a strange response, and I believe him. Right, so notice how in 99% of the times in my videos, I believe exactly what the person's saying. Usually when I say that someone's lying by commission, it's when I see signs of scripting, where they've scripted their story, right, where they've prepared it in advance. So when he says it's safer than it was, I believe him. I believe the house they were in was extremely dangerous, that he may have been dangerous on some drugs or some pills, or they were in a desperate financial situation, that there was some danger that led to Summer's death. Now she's dead, and now it's less dangerous. Where in reality, if she had actually been abducted, that means there's a person still out there
Right.
who's kidnapping little kids, but somehow he knows that it's safe now for the boys. That's
Great,
safer.
great observation. Wow. See, that's where I lack. I'm a horrible. I'm not observant, but that is a great, very good observation. And that's the type of things he's trying to look for, is details like that. That's true. If there was somebody out on the loose and you don't know what happened to your daughter, if she was abducted, then why the hell wouldn't it be dangerous? How nothing's changed. We didn't catch the person who took Summer. So why is it any more safe? Hey, Adrian. Karma Libra. Hair curlers and crime.
Doesn't add up. Right. So it's another indicator that they probably know exactly what happened. And I believe that they do know exactly what happened. Because if there was still a kidnapper out there, you would not expect him to say it's safe.
You haven't had any acts of violence against you at the house?
No.
Okay. So there's no reason in terms of acts of violence that have been perpetrated against you that would cause them to conclude that the boys would be in harm's way?
No, we just had one issue with a woman sent to our house, and we don't know. We've heard she was sent from some YouTubers. We don't know. Well, we called the police right away, and they took her off the property.
If they did a home study right now, they came in and studied the home, would it meet the standard that they were looking for? Would the house be clean and uncluttered and groceries and safe as far as guns and everything that Child Protective Services investigates? Would it be proper for the boys?
Well, there's some things they want us to work on. We need to put in a couple walls and some other things. So there's still a few things we need to work on.
But you could get that done in short order.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me tell you what I think. And I, like I say, I've done this a lot. And
All right. So here, Dr. Phil is going to do what I consider to be fairly good interview technique. As long as you understand that he's probably saying all this just to get them to open up more. So sometimes people say things to people they don't like in order to seem friendly so they can get information. That's how the real world works. So I think sometimes when people hold stuff like this, as you'll see, against Dr. Phil, it's wrong.
Yeah,
I personally don't think Dr. Phil is a particularly good interviewer, but this technique is fine. And I also agree when I see it in the real world. If you're pretending to be nice to someone to get information from them because you think they're guilty, I think that's proper. Police do it all the time.
And I trained as a forensic psychologist, looking psychology and the law and the forensics involved with human behavior and conduct. And based on the timeline and the factors here, it's very clear to me, based on the facts, that neither one of you did anything to hurt your daughter.
No, sir. No, sir.
That's very clear to me.
Awesome.
So can we...
So Dr. Phil, I don't know whether or not he actually believes this, but it is proper interview technique, what he's doing right here.
But see, the thing is that sucks is like it's on national TV and people will look at Dr. Phil as if he is just, you know, some people really look up to the guy. And then at the end, doesn't he say he doesn't think that they're involved? Basically saying, but the mother, she acts like she could possibly know. There could be something that she could know and just not remember.
Are you understand that I understand that?
Yes.
And you understand that initially the first thing they do is look at the, if it's the husband that goes missing or gets killed, they look at the spouse. If it's the wife that goes missing, they look at the husband.
Yeah.
Because statistically, oftentimes that's who it is. Again, because of access,
Right.
opportunity.
you can also hear and see how they are opening up more now, right? So now they're nodding along, they're saying, yeah, awesome. Whereas before they were clammed up. So some people might hold this against Dr. Phil. I don't know what he actually believes, but whatever he's doing here is good because it's going to get them to open up more. That's my point.
Motive means all of that.
So it is small-minded when I see people analyzing, phone calls with these people, or even in politics in general, when someone acts nice to a hated world leader in order to get something accomplished, it's small-minded to hold that against them. Because the point is what's accomplished.
They do that. People do that on YouTube just because they're jealous. That's just the truth. They'll be like, oh, I can't believe you talked to you'll have that freaking criminal up on your panel. I can't believe you were talking to him like he was your friend or blah, blah, blah. I just treat people like with respect. If they're being decent, and yes, you get more bees with honey.
Not whether or not someone looks mean or nice in the process. I'm not going to extrapolate on that further because it's distracting. But here, I don't know what Dr. Phil actually believes, but clearly it's getting them to open up more. So if you do have a YouTube channel of your own, and let's say you're hunting video game cheaters, or you have a true crime channel and you're able to get someone like Don Wells on the phone, I personally would never hold it against you for you to put them at ease by saying you believe they are innocent, if it gets you the information you need. And if you're a long-time subscriber of mine, you know that I would love to interview people.
Oh, you mean Tim
Everyone
Mullins.
I've offered
Okay.
is too
That's what you
scared to
said.
come on typically.
Tiffany Marie. It's like,
But just be aware down the road, if I do that, just know what I'm doing. Okay.
That they look at the spouse. And so when something happens to a child, parents are the ones in control of the child. So that's the first place they look.
Yes, sir.
And when I first studied this case, the first thing I looked at was, okay, what would be the opportunity for the father and the mother? And I looked at that, not knowing y'all at all, just to look at it. And given the timeline, there's no way that either one of y'all did harm to your daughter, and I hate to even say these words, killed your daughter and hid her body in the woods somewhere. I just don't believe that's even possible. So understand, I'm not sitting here.
So that might actually be a little bit of leakage from Dr. Phil, that he really does believe they killed her and hid her in the woods, because they didn't say anything about her body being in the woods. They've stuck to this abduction story since day one, similar to the McCanns. So we might have a little bit of leakage from Dr. Phil, and this is also part of the reason I don't think Dr. Phil actually believes what he's saying here. As a forensic psychologist, he probably knows he needs to set them at ease in order to get them talking. And it's actually pretty brave of him to do this, because I feel like lots of the audience who can see clearly, who think the Wells are guilty, might hold this against him, but he's doing it despite that backlash in order to actually get some good statements for us. So while no interviewer is perfect, and as you've seen when I analyzed Burke Ramsey's interview with Dr. Phil does make lots of mistakes. He is by no means a perfect interviewer. This is good, right? So that's a point I want to make here.
Here wondering if you killed your daughter. Awesome. I'm not sitting here wondering if you killed your daughter.
Thank you.
I don't think that for a second. And I'm saying that publicly here. So if people are wondering what I think, that's what I think.
Hey, Robin.
So I can already predict here, if you're watching this video, you might think that Don Wells is experiencing Duper's delight here when he giggled. So Duper's delight, if you're not aware, is the phenomenon where if someone's getting away with a lie and they're tricking someone, they actually get a rush of endorphins and they can get a little bit more giddy, a little bit more boisterous. Sometimes they might even smile or giggle. And it's known as Duper's delight. And 9 times out of 10, whenever I see someone comment that someone's experiencing Duper's delight, I don't see it myself, right? I don't analyze body language. It has to be very overt in order for me to even comment on it. And one of the only times I've commented on it is O.J. Simpson in a short on my channel. Like something like,
he
what does
definitely had
Duper's
Duper's
Delight look like? So I anticipate I'm going to see people commenting that Don is
O.J. Simpson's Duper's Delight was very overt. I mean, you'd be like, I mean, he wrote a book that said, or what was it called? Or it said, if I did it, or something like that. Basically saying how he would. I never read that book because I think it's, I mean, yeah, I think it's gross.
experiencing Duper's Delight here. And for the first time in a long time, I might actually, I tend to agree with you. So
I'm sorry,
right at the point where Dr. Phil is telling them he believes they're innocent, he believes everything they say, their story adds up, Don not only starts nodding his head more and being more vocal, you know, saying, right, yes, awesome, but he actually lets out a little giggle and a smile here. Right, so it's not something I typically even comment on the channel, but this is pretty overt here, and the timing seems appropriate, where Dr. Phil is finally telling them that he believes them 100%. If someone were to express Duper's Delight, this would be the point where they do it.
Your daughter. Awesome. I'm not sitting here wondering if you killed your daughter.
Thank you.
I don't think that for
Let me
even
rewind again.
possible. Daughter.
So just watch his face here.
I hate to even say the.
So watch Don Wells' face, and if you're listening on podcast mode, listen for that little giggle he does. Right? As far as we know, these are parents whose kid is still missing and has been missing for 4 months. I wouldn't expect them to be giggling about anything.
Right.
Say these words, killed your daughter and hid her body in the woods somewhere. I just don't believe that's even possible. So understand, I'm not sitting here wondering if you killed your daughter. Awesome. I'm not sitting here wondering if you killed your daughter. I don't think that for a second.
Dude. Awesome. I don't think I heard that before. Awesome. What a relief. Thank God. Oh, God. Thank God. Yeah. I definitely. Now, Candace acts more like appropriately. But I think that's because Don is probably the one more involved, allegedly. And the one that had, I mean, that's what I'm just my non-professional opinion.
And I'm saying that publicly here. So if people are wondering what I think, that's what I think. I don't think you did that. I don't think you did that. And I assume I'm correct about that.
Yes.
You didn't do anything to hurt your daughter?
No, sir.
You didn't do anything to hurt your daughter? Did he do anything to hurt your daughter?
No, sir.
Did she do anything to hurt your daughter?
Wait,
Look at
ew.
And you guys know, normally I would never comment on this. I would never comment on body language, facial
That is
expression.
so gross, dude.
The one exception I make is Duper's Delight, and only when it's extremely overt. And here we have Dr. Phil saying he believes they didn't kill their daughter. Summers are missing for 4 months. Dr. Phil says he believes they didn't kill her, didn't bury her. He believes their timeline, everything. And Don is laughing. I can't help but commentate on it. The things in this case are things we don't see in almost any of my other series. This is highly unusual, and it's causing me to comment on things I haven't commented on since Casey Anthony and O.J. Simpson.
Okay. And, you know, the reason that I can conclude that is based on the timeline is you couldn't have done that and hidden the body somewhere that couldn't have been found by now. Cadaver dogs, hunting dogs, search parties, all of that. You couldn't have gotten far enough away before authorities and search parties and everybody got in there. the question that I'm then left with is, do you know something about it that you haven't shared? Know something about it that you haven't shared?
So once again, I commend Dr. Phil for his technique here. And like I said as well, I wouldn't hold it against anyone. And if I do it in the future with someone who probably doesn't know enough about my channel and agrees to do an interview with someone I suspect, don't hold against me if I do it. This is proper technique. He's clearly put them at ease, but he's using that now to ask a less threatening question that is going to reveal some answers for us.
Something you may not even know you know. You may not, there may be something in your mind you don't even know you know, or you may know something that you haven't chosen to speculate about, or you haven't chosen to tell. And that's what I'm really focused on right now, because you're in the best position to know what could have happened. If you had to speculate, what do you think happened?
I have no idea what happened.
Well,
What'd she say?
All right. So once again, we see reticence. In particular, I have no idea. This, in statement analysis, is a red flag. So even if someone says something as absurd as, do you know why I thought I saw a leprechaun in your driveway? You still, even if you didn't care right about this story, you thought it was weird. Honestly, most people would not say, I have no idea. Right? They would say something like, well, I've got a garden gnome on my front porch, or there's a light, or my sprinkler.
Hey Kelly, is that the Kelly I talked to on Facebook? I think if you would you be able to be a guest tomorrow? I know I was asking you in chat. This is so you guys know I've talked about Bill Shipley, which could be one of the Wild Bill that is mentioned. This is his soon-to-be ex-wife, and she went through hell. He's finally in jail, and he could possibly be charged with his ex-wife's unaliving too. But I want to talk to her, have her on maybe tomorrow or the next day if she's available. So that's why all the he is scary. I know. That's why all the screenshots and the threats have ceased, because he was caught and arrested. He was on the run. He was sending death threats to Kelly nonstop, and threats to myself as well. I mean, he didn't send them directly to me. He sent it to her to send to me. And he put posts on his Facebook and stuff like that. We know the Wells like to get others to do their dirty work. They had handed her to someone. So she's not from the area, though, so she doesn't know a lot of these people, but she did meet a few of his buddies. They weren't married
Sometimes
very
turn
long.
on, maybe the sprinkler popped up out of the grass and you thought that was a leprechaun. But when it comes to your missing child, I really
popped out of the grass.
do not expect
It's a
someone to say
leprechaun.
they have no idea. They've had 4 months now to rack their brains about what happened to their daughter. I would expect them to have countless ideas, from their most likely to their least likely to everything in between. So when someone says no idea, it is extremely reticent. It indicates that they probably know exactly what happened, and they're too scared to even offer any clues or any speculation, right? They want to be as close to the vest as possible.
Yes, I see you.
And other people who have said no idea are Casey Anthony And
Supposedly, Bill Shipley is under investigation for his ex-wife's passing. There's some suspicious things around that, and her kids suspect him, and so does Kelly. And so, yeah, she has an interesting story, really. And she says she'll come on tomorrow. She messaged me and said she will tomorrow. So, yeah, Kelly, just send. Well, you've sent. Never mind. You don't have to send me anything. You've sent me plenty. Oh, thank you, Randaroo. She sent 333 for love ya. Hope all is well. Hugs, Randaroo. Thank you so much. Sorry, I was reading an email.
I'll have to put in the comments at some point, but there's plenty of examples of people who said no idea when they were in fact guilty. It's a form of extreme reticence.
This is what happened to my blood sugar after eating strawberries, and this is what happened after eating grapes. This is what happened after eating pineapple, and this is what happened after eating raspberries.
So this thing right here is going to...
Right, so extreme reticence. They're not trying to help at all. They're not speculating, not presenting any evidence, any leads, any clues, nothing.
You have to have some idea because you took your daughter in the house and you never saw her come out.
Right, so no idea. How about a bear or a coyote? Things she's already mentioned were on the property. Or maybe it was that guy in the red car. Or the guy who was in my house when my husband came home and thought I was cheating on him. There's plenty of options to choose from. More than enough. But she says no idea. That is extreme reticence. A giant red flag that this is probably a hoax. They're scared to give any information at all. And why are they scared to give any information at all? Because they know guys like me are listening to their every word.
Something happened.
I don't know.
And not just me, all of you too. You guys catch stuff that I miss all the time.
What happened? She just was gone.
But she didn't just vaporize. Someone had to take her out of that house.
Exactly.
And we know it wasn't you. We know you didn't do anything to her.
Right.
So if it wasn't you, then who was it? Let's rule you out. Okay, we've taken you off the chessboard. You're off the table. If it wasn't you, then who would be the next most likely candidate?
I don't know. I wish I knew.
Would it be someone, a stranger? Would it be somebody you know?
I don't know anybody that would have did it. Then it had to be a stranger.
Is there?
So these are weird answers. I don't know anybody who would have done it. It had to be a stranger. What she's doing, she's speaking in the negative. Everything is telling us what didn't happen until she comes to the story she's pushing, which is the stranger abduction, which we've seen the McCanns do as well. Right. So ever since day one, the Wells have always said that a stranger kidnapped their daughter. So we've seen reticence already. And as far as the Wells, just like the McCanns, writing off the possibility of anything but a stranger abduction is a sign of conclusiveness. And here on the deception deck card, I've written, I'll just read you what I have on the back of the card, right? So on the front of each card, we have the concept. This is the concept section, suit of the deck. Spotting hoaxes is the concept.
Recognizing
on the front,
grifters.
we have the prompt. Spotting hoaxes. On the back, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. The famous quote from Carl Sagan. And then we have the rule, right? The part you should memorize. When evaluating a story that seems implausible, when evaluating a story that seems implausible, considering the possibility of a hoax is crucial. Liars, knowing their story may not be believed, might overreact or fabricate evidence to seem more convincing. All right, sorry, let me read that again. When evaluating a story that seems implausible, considering the possibility of a hoax is crucial. Liars, knowing their story may not be believed, might overact or fabricate evidence to seem more convincing. To determine if a story is a hoax, consider 1. Conclusiveness. Does a speaker express certainty about what happened despite limited evidence? And here we have the Wells expressing certainty that a stranger must have kidnapped Summer when there is no evidence, A, that she was even kidnapped, and no evidence that could rule out anyone else from kidnapping her. There's nothing to rule out a bear or a coyote snatching her or a dingo, one of my favorite examples.
A dingo.
Right. In Australia, there's a famous case the baby was snatched by a dingo. Everyone wrote it off. It happened to be true. Right. So we can't write off unlikely things. But these parents have written off bear, coyote. They've written off anyone that they know, any friend, any neighbor, the grandmother who lives on the property, each other. They've written off everything except for a stranger. That is highly conclusive despite the limited evidence. And then when it comes to coming up with theories or anything else or speculation about any other options, they're extremely reticent to tell us anything else that might lead to a different clue, and reticent to even talk about the day in question.
Is there anybody you knew that has disappeared since this happened?
Definitely vague and reticent.
There were.
All right. Also, the other point is Candace is now crying.
You do what God called you to do. You show up. You put one foot.
And this is the third thing on our card. Right. That's how beautiful the cards are. That I can actually, I wrote these weeks ago, right? They're at the printers. But we can apply these lessons to new videos because hoaxers are so predictable. They follow a pattern. So now we have emotionality. Is there a mismatch between their displayed emotions, like crying, and the emotions reported in their account? So here we have Candace crying on TV, but she hasn't reported once to us how sad she is or how depressed she is or how it hurts her to even think about Summer. Or on the day it happened, I was wailing and screaming and crying for her. I was running up and down. Nothing along those lines. All we're getting is the displayed emotions, but there's no reported emotions. And that mismatch is usually the sign of a hoax, right? Where someone's overacting to sell their story. But it's a lot harder to fabricate a story. So when they tell us about the day in question or about their feelings, they forget to include those emotions in their story, in their narrative.
I am
Right?
about
It's a lot easier to just cry on command and act.
a little bit,
And this is one pitfall that body language analysis has.
but this
That they
video
get
is
too
almost
swayed
over.
by the
I wasn't
displayed
planning on watching
emotions
the whole thing.
rather than listening for the reported emotions.
What, Bandit?
And on the topic of body language,
Yeah.
at some point in this Dr. Phil interview, I've not watched this far into it yet. I think I stopped watching it right after this, so we'll wrap up this video soon. At some point in this series, in the previews, it shows two of the behavior panel guys actually interviewing Candace and Dawn. And I think that's going to be very interesting to see. And I'm not going to pre-watch that one so we can react to it together and you'll see my first reactions. Because as you know, there's plenty of cases where I disagree with the behavior panel, including this one and the McCanns. And I want to see what pitfalls do they fall into that I believe that I avoid with my techniques. All right, let's keep watching.
They were around, and then this happened, and all of a sudden they kind of moved away, or they've gone away somewhere.
Nobody that I know
The only people that I know is the people I work with on a daily basis, and that's the only ones I've ever hung out with. I work all the time, and when I am home, I'm with my kids and her. And
is there anybody?
Stop, Bandit.
And if you've seen my series, you know that they go to the church a lot, right? They're very close with people at their church. Why is that not mentioned? Why are they so reticent? They're not being candid with their information. Like I said early on, it's like pulling teeth. Same thing with Bob Lazar, same thing with Bob Gimlin, same thing with every other hoaxer we've analyzed on the channel. And if you want to see a contrast, as well as Amber Heard and Me Too accusers, right? Fake Me Too victims. You want to see the difference between a hoaxer victim and a real victim? Look at my video about Christy Mack, who was actually a victim, and then compare her to someone like Ashley Morgan Smithline or Amber Heard. In the case of missing parents, compare Dawn and Candace Wells to
Okay. You guys should go over there and give him a view, since I played the majority of his video. I wasn't planning on doing that. And we got just too into it. If you guys go over there and hit the like button over there or something, that would be amazing. Hey, Not a Drama Nana. Not a Drama Nana. Just like he says he was at work the day Summer went missing, and then tells the creator he was home. And he was also seen at home that day. He's speaking truth from years of experience. Law enforcement needs to drag their ass. Needs to drag their ass in. Is that what you mean, Sassy? Yeah, I like his channel too. And I'm pretty sure he's got me new subscribers, so I appreciate that. I can see why he would rub people the wrong way, and I'm talking about Deception Detective, but he has an education in this stuff, and that's his specialty. We all have our specialties. And I think to me, it sounds right on, but I know he has some unpopular beliefs. Well, I don't know if they're popular or unpopular, like about Madeleine McCann and JonBenet Ramsey. He believes the parents were involved with Madeleine McCann, that it was like a cover-up. I think that's what he believes, a cover-up. And then with an accident cover-up. And then with the JonBenet, he believes her brother did something. But his channel name is Deception Detective, and there's the link. Whistle while you lurk, just put it up. So, all right, guys, I do have to go. I probably won't be on this channel again tonight. So, maybe on my other channel, but I have some readings I have to do. So, and some things I have to do first. I will talk to you guys all later. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Be there, be square. Having a live with Bill Shipley's soon-to-be ex-wife. She feels safe now to be able to speak out now that he is incarcerated. Before she was, kind of in hiding. Well, she was in hiding. And was scared of him. I mean, he was legit sending death threats. And you guys are going to see it all tomorrow. So 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We just arranged in the chat. I'm going to set up the live here in a little bit. So I will see you guys there tomorrow. Talk to you guys later.